So we're going to learn a vocabulary word, and that vocabulary word is coterminal angles. Right? So we see terminal arm there, so maybe it has something to do with that. An angle in the Cartesian plane is in standard position if the vertex lies at the origin and its initial arm lies on the positive x-axis. As a matter of fact, that's the only way we'll be graphing is in standard position. But what are coterminal angles? Right, so these are two or more angles in standard position whose sides coincide. Right? In other words, they have the same terminal side. Right? So, and I think this is in your notes at the bottom there, or kind of right on the page there. So they have the same initial, because they have to have the same initial. They're in standard position. They're always going to have the same initial. All the angles have the same initial. But they also have the same terminal sides. And such angles are coterminal. So for instance, angle alpha and angle beta there, they are coterminal angles. Notice that they go different directions. One of them is a positive angle. That one's the positive. Alpha's positive. And beta there's negative. But they end in the same place. This is the terminal side right here. So they are coterminal angles. Alpha and beta here are both positive angles. One of them is just much larger than the other. Right? So alpha is an angle less than 90 degrees. Beta is more than 360 degrees. But they both end in the same spot. So because they both end in the same spot, they are coterminal. So it's easy to figure out coterminal angles, right? Because either, notice A and B, so if I were to take, so B here is 360 degrees more. If I were to take angle A and add 360 degrees, I'd have angle beta there. Right? So notice they are 360 degrees apart. Right? This one here on the negative beta, that's just going the other direction. So what if we took angle A and subtracted 360 degrees? Right? We took that angle and we went all the way around. Well, we'd have angle B. And now you actually know how to find coterminal angles. Right? So coterminal angles are two or more angles in standard position. Sides coincide. Standard position is where the vertex is at the origin, the initial side along the positive x-axis. These angles are found by taking the measure of the angle and adding multiples of 360 degrees or subtracting the angle from 360 degrees. Every angle has an infinite number of coterminal angles. Right? We have lots of them. Let's take a look. And we're moving. Right? So for coterminal angles, we're adding or subtracting 360 degrees. That's all you have to do. And you can do it multiple times. Right? So here we have a 115 degree angle. Right? We have an infinite number of coterminal angles, but let's find one positive and one negative. To find the one negative, subtract 360 degrees. Negative 245 degrees is coterminal. Right? It's just going the other direction, but it ends in the same spot. If we add 360 degrees to 115, we get 475. Right? So starting at the initial side, going counterclockwise, one full circle, and then continue till you land on the terminal side again. Right? They are exactly 360 degrees apart from one another. So 475 degrees and 115 are two coterminal angles. So finding coterminal angles is really easy. You just add and subtract 360. That's all you got to do. All right, so here we have one. This is the one I have in your notes. All right, we have a 60 degree angle there. To get the positive, and you can add what I have in there in green and purple. To get the positive coterminal angle, we just add 360. All right, so we got 420 degrees. If you wanted another one, you could just add 360 again. So there's two coterminal angles. You can write them both down. 420 and 780, they're both coterminal to 360. Let's graph the 420 degree angle. So the 420, and I probably should write here that this is our initial side. Right? So 420 goes around the whole way, goes 360 degrees, and then it goes 60 degrees more. So that's 400, I'll put it over here, 420 degrees. They are coterminal because they start and end at the same location. Even though one went around the circle one time to get there, it's still, those are coterminal angles. We can go the negative direction, the negative coterminal angle. So let's graph that one as well. All right, so to get the negative one, we're going to subtract 360 degrees from 60. Right? And so this one is going in the negative direction, which means it's going to go clockwise. Right? So that one is negative 300 degrees. Right? All three of those are coterminal angles. They all start and end in the same spot. And you can also include another coterminal angle. If you were to subtract 360 one more time, right, go around the circle and then go there, you'd have negative 660, right? So you just have to add and subtract 360 degrees to get coterminal angles. That's all there is to it, right? Because they have to they either went a full circle around again, right, or they went the other direction, right? That's the only way you're going to get coterminal angles. The only way they can end in the same location. Right, so there are more than just one angle at any position that have the same terminal side. These are called coterminal angles. All angles have the same initial side. Coterminal angles have the same terminal side as well. I would like you to write that in your notes somewhere on that page. Please feel free to pause the tape and write that down, right? In red there, not the black writing, just the red with the big star next to it. Right? That should go in your notes so that you remember that. Very important. All right, so we're going to do some graphing here, and you can just follow along with me. If you want to take some additional, oh, actually, I take that back. I forgot. I wanted you to be able to graph some, so I gave you a sheet that, and I cannot hold it up for you and say, here, it looks like this, but it had some circles on it, right? Actually, do I want us to use those for reference angles? You know what? Let's use those for the reference angles. Never mind, just follow along because this is so easy. That's right, I wanted to use it for the reference angles. All right, so positive coterminal angle. All I got to do is add 360. Right? And you can write one or two of these in your notes if you'd like. So 30 plus 360 degrees, that is 390 degrees. Right? That's one coterminal angle. We can get a negative coterminal angle simply by taking 30 degrees and subtracting 360 degrees, which gives us negative 330 degrees. Right? And I wanted to show you these to you. And actually, I'm going to try to color code them, but the angle up there is already in blue. Right? So the red angle is the positive angle. Right? It goes all the way around the circle and ends in the same location. That red one there is 390 degrees. The negative coterminal angle, I guess I'll make it in green, right? So he's in green. All right, so he's going to go the negative direction. He goes the other way, right? He goes clockwise, and he ends there. And that one is negative 330 degrees, right? But notice they all end in the exact same spot, right? And this is the terminal side, right? So the terminal side is all in the same location. And of course, this is the initial side. Right? And when we're dealing with angles, we care where their initial side is and where their terminal side is. That's the most important part. All right, so let's look at the next one. All right, so 230 degrees, we want a positive coterminal angle. All right, so to get a positive coterminal angle, what happened to my 230? Here's my 230. It got erased, but here we go. Oh, there it is. It kind of says it right there, but I'll write it 230 degrees. Right. That's the whole reason I did this, so you can actually see where they're located. Right. So 230 degrees, right? And of course, this is our terminal side. This is our initial side. Right. If we want to graph a positive coterminal angle, we simply have to take 230 and add 360 degrees to it. So that's going to give us 590 degrees. Right? So it's going to go counterclockwise all the way around the circle, and then it's going to keep on going another 230 degrees. And so that is what a 590 degree angle looks like. And it is coterminal to 230 degree angles because the terminal side is in the same location. For the negative coterminal angle, we take 230 degrees and we subtract 360. So that would be negative 130 degrees. And so it's still going to start and end in the same location. It just goes the other way. So there's the negative 130 degree angle. Right? And that's all there is to that one. Right? Pretty easy, right? Yes, I think so. And here we have negative 20 degrees. So it's already negative, right? So we'll get a positive and a negative for this one. To get a positive coterminal angle, we'll just take negative 20 and add 360. And that's going to give us 340 degrees, right? So now it's going to go in the positive direction instead of the negative direction. But notice it still ends up in the same location, 340 degrees, on the same terminal side as the negative 20 degree angle does. And then the negative coterminal angle. All right, so we're going to subtract 360 from negative 20. That's going to give us negative 380 degrees. So this one is going in the negative direction, just like the original, but it's going to go a full circle around till it gets to the same location. All right, and so three coterminal angles are negative 20, 340, and negative 380 degrees. We want to find a coterminal angle, a positive and a negative. Right? So 460 degrees. Right? So that's going to go all the way around the circle. Right? So that's 360, and then it's got to go 100 degrees more, so it's going to go right there. Right? So here is our, there we go, our 460 degree angle. Right, goes a full circle and then another 100 degrees. Of course, this is the initial side, and that was the terminal, so this is the initial. And the green side there shows the terminal side. I'm going to write sideways here. Okay. We want a positive coterminal angle. Well, actually, we have two choices here. Because this one's already more than 360, we could do one of two things. We could take the 460 degree angle and add 360, and that would give us 820 degrees, which means we'd go around the circle twice and then get to that spot. Or, because it's already more than 360, if we were to subtract 360, we'd get 100 degrees. So either of these would be fine. Either would be correct. I could either do 820, or we could do 100 degrees. Let's just do it with 100 degrees because, well, after a while we start to run out of space here. So there we have 100 degrees. Right? That is coterminal to the 460. It ends in the exact same location. If we wanted to get a negative coterminal angle, I'm going to have to subtract 360 twice. We've already subtracted it once, right? We got 100 degrees. If we subtract 360 again, we'd get negative 260 degrees. And that gives us a negative coterminal angle going in the opposite direction. Right? So all of these, this is be negative 260 degrees, all of these are coterminal. The 820, the 100, the 460, and the negative 260. They are all coterminal because they start and end in the same spot. Right, so I'm going to pick up on, no, maybe I'll continue. No, I'll pick up on this one in the next podcast. All right, so see you in the next podcast. We're going to look at coterminal angles using radians.